is when more families know about the relief that is included in the American Rescue Plan, when more families know about how they can get the relief, that is how we will be able to lift our children out of poverty.
Vice President Kamala Harris in Pittsburgh this week touting the Biden administration's expanded child tax credit and claiming it's the key to reducing child poverty in the United States. The IRS will start sending checks directly to qualifying families in July, $300 a month for every child under 6, $250 for each older child, regardless of whether the recipient is working, looking for work, or in a training or educational program. But my next guest says these so-called free money programs can actually make life worse for those who need the help the most. Robert Doar is president of American Enterprise Institute. He spent 7 years running New York City's welfare programs for former Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Robert, welcome to the show. I read a recent piece from you, but you've been doing this for a long time, and you say that this money doesn't get to these underlying factors that are so critical. Share those thoughts with us.
Well, it's a big change to have money coming from Washington every month to families that, in a different circumstance, in the way we ran in New York City and the way it happens all across the country, would come into an office and see someone who would try to help them with employment, with issues concerning their education and training, with issues concerning substance abuse or other issues going on in their family, maybe help them connect with if there's an absent parent who's not involved and not helping with their children or their support for their children. So to take that away and say, we can do this all from Washington by sending checks every month, I think is actually has a lot of potential to undermine the ability to really help these families move up.
When you talk about moving up, you're talking about trying to be more self-sufficient, getting a better education, making yourself more marketable, and then actually going out and looking for a job. Is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely. It's getting a job. It's getting into work. The key to getting out of poverty, everyone knows this, is employment. You need earnings. Dependency and benefits alone aren't really enough to really help people earn their own success. And this approach really does show the difference, in my opinion, between the left of center approach and the right of center. The left of center approach feels we solve poverty by transfer payments and by redistribution. In my view, the better way is through work and employment, and then combining that work and employment, or the earnings from work and employment, with other forms of assistance that can make work go further. I'm all for helping people, but I want to help people in a way that's human, that relates to them. It involves an interaction between people trying to help people in need move up. This is a check from Washington that will lead to people staying, what I like to say, behind closed curtains, not really coming into the community and seeking the help that they need.
And, I've seen it firsthand, and I saw it growing up firsthand. What really frightens me a lot is, you mentioned a more human approach, is that this...
Hello, folks. I'm going to let us watch this for 1 second. I'm going to give my thoughts on this in just a second. I'll tell you why. Let's just listen. Today, some checks hit some bank accounts from the Biden administration. I want to talk about it. And so just let's watch. I want to hear this because, they are upset on Fox about this thing. And I'm like, wow. So just give me a second. I want you guys to hear this. And I'm going to come on and I'm going to talk about why on earth people are upset about this situation. So give me about 2 minutes and then I'll be on in a second.
Ideas sold as a humanitarian or human approach that somehow it gives people dignity or it helps. When we know in the long run, you can become, for lack of a better word, addicted to this money. It comes regularly. You start to budget for it. You start to expect it. It's an entitlement that you also think at some point you feel like you've even earned or deserve it. And it's hard to take it away when it gets to that point.
Well, Charles, I grew up in New York City also. I was in Brooklyn. You were in Manhattan. But the fact is that in the 70s and 80s, we had a welfare rights mentality in the city of New York.
Okay, I can only last 1 more minute, so please hang on. Tell somebody, share this, somebody. Listen, I ain't been on in a minute, folks. I could not go to sleep tonight. Check this out for a minute. We're going to talk about it. How many of you guys got this check, by the way, get this deposit? Hit me up in the comment section. Let me know.
And it led to people getting cash assistance and not being encouraged to work. And that's what I think this IRS payment from Washington, which in a way is a step worse, because there isn't even any local involvement. will do. It will diminish the incentive to work. It will diminish the connection between people. And I know for Republicans and conservatives, the idea of a bureaucrat being helpful is hard for you to believe. But the fact is, they are helpful. When people come to them and seek assistance, there is an interaction which can lead to substance abuse treatment being provided, to domestic violence issues being looked into and cared for, and most importantly, helping people get a job.
You know, some people would say, particularly in the 70s, though, that the bureaucratic aspect was too heavy-handed, with people coming into your house, and if you were a single mom, to see if you had a boyfriend, if there were clothes laying around, it was very invasive. And so, I believe that was true as well.
Okay, I got to stop. Gotta stop. Okay, so check this out. Let me go ahead and get rid of this and just give me a few seconds. Hey, everybody. I'm telling you, this is crazy. So here's the premise. So I'm going to talk about this child tax credit for a few minutes, and I'm going to talk about why Fox News is so upset about this. I mean, they are livid about the fact that folks have gotten this money, and I want to talk about it for a second. So let me just go ahead and hop on into this. So hello, everybody. So I was literally I was going to go out to get some food tonight. And I looked at my bank account, and I had some money from Uncle Joe Biden in the bank account tonight, folks. Uncle Joe Biden threw a couple dollars my way. I have a few kids, and so you can figure out what the thing is. So I started thinking about this, and I was going to start coming on again on Thursdays, which I'm going to start doing with some guests and things like that. But I could not resist the opportunity just to think about this and to lay some kind of lay out some ideas and some thoughts around this, because I am telling you guys, if you listen to what the gentleman just said, they're saying that this tax credit for people is bad for the country. It's going to cause people to be lazy, right? It's going to cause them to not want to work. And so, let's talk about that. I'm laughing because that's nuts. So check this out. Let me just give you guys a few facts so you guys can win the water cooler wars, as they say, when you're at work or whatever. And a lot of people are home now, so you might not be at the water cooler, but wherever you are. All right, the Zoom wars. So check this out. So Joe Biden today announced, and these payments hit people's bank accounts today, that families making under $150,000, individuals making under $120,000 will be eligible for $300 for every kid under the age of 6 and $250 for every kid between 6 and 17. If you had kids under 6, you get up to $3,600 a year. If you have kids over 6, you get up to $3,000 a year. Now, that's going to go from now until December, and then you're going to get more at tax time, which is the rest of this tax credit that is supposed to come out. Now, I think this is interesting because if you think about this, Joe Biden is suggesting that if you make this permanent, right, then you can help to reduce childhood poverty. Now, Republicans are livid about this. As we just watched, they're calling this a handout. They're saying that the government is causing people to be reliant on them and not able to get up, not incentivized to get up and to actually do work. Now, let me tell you this, guys. I am a person, once again, who really tries to listen to both sides of arguments and things. But I'm going to tell you, when you start to listen to arguments around in the political space, you have to use discernment. You have to engage your brain, right? You have to engage your brain. Now, now check this out. You have to. So here is what I want to share about this that I think is critical for you to think about. We're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, $250 per child. $250. Now, you're going to hear all of these people talk about how horrible this is, that the government's just passing out money and what's going to happen to people's work ethic, because they believe that people getting $250 per child per month is going to make them lazy. I mean, think about that for a second. $250. Now, if you have children, do you know how fast $250 goes with children? Do you understand that? The idea that this is going to be an incentive to make people lazy is one of the dumbest arguments I've ever heard. Ever. This is why I come on and talk about these things, because I recognize that if we do not have discernment and dig through some of this stuff, we will believe this craziness from people who, just because they're on national TV, think that they're actually telling something that's saying something that's sensible. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is just not the case. How can you possibly rail against the idea that we are giving $250 per kid per month and make it so that that is going to destroy the work ethic of the country? Are you nuts? Are you kidding me? That's nuts, man. That's not, what are we talking about? The other thing I want you to think about is that this is not a cash handout. This is a tax credit. And a tax credit is different from a cash handout. Let me explain to you. So in my classes, I teach about what are known as the tools of government. There are 5 major tools of government that the United States uses to kind of get its business done. You've got grants. You have what's called direct provision, which the government will just do work itself. You have tax credits. You have mandates where the government will sort of lay out an edict and never pay for it. And you also have loans, right? So the government does all these things. Now, when it comes to tax credits, okay, by the way, let me make this very clear. I am fully supportive of what the Biden administration is doing. I am fully excited about what they're doing. I fully think that we have to recognize the economic impact of the last year and a half, the high levels of unemployment, the high levels of underemployment, and how it is not going to go away overnight. We have a lot of economic damage to fix in this country, and this is the beginning, right? And so once again, we're looking at a situation where the government is reducing the revenue that it takes in through tax credits. That's what a tax credit is. It does not appear on a budget. Why? Because it actually does not represent a government expenditure. They never spend anything. They just reduce the amount of money that they're bringing in. That's a tax credit. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we use tax credits in this country all the time. Let me give you a list. When you get tax credits for donating to charity in this country, you get tax credits on your mortgage interest in this country. You get tax credits on paying property taxes. You get tax credits for your student loan interest payments. No one is railing against these programs and calling them welfare. So why are we giving out this money for children welfare? I mean, it's crazy, guys. Think about this. Now, the other thing I want you to understand is that, and I'm not, anti-corporation, blah, blah, blah. I think corporations do some good, but they should pay their fair share. Yes. And so I want you to think about this because, when you think about, by the way, what I just shared was about 90% of all of the tax credits that I just shared. That's 90% of the tax credits was what I just shared just now. But I want you to think about companies like FedEx, basically, I hate to see this, I know because people will be mad at me. Amazon, FedEx, GE, Honeywell, ExxonMobil, these folks don't pay taxes, folks, at a heavy level. FedEx did not pay a dime in federal income taxes between 2010 and 2012, and they received $10.3 billion in federal contracts 2006 to 2012. ExxonMobil paid just 15% federal income tax rate from 2010 to 2012, less than half of the official 35% corporate tax rate. Now check this out. In America, we do have a high corporate tax rate. 35% is high. The issue is nobody pays it. Why? Because we have a multitude of federal tax loopholes that make it so that we don't pay federal taxes, most corporations. Amazon, right? $9 billion company, right? Amazon, responsible for closing large numbers of retail stores in America. They, when their balance sheet is done, don't pay taxes either, ladies and gentlemen. And so what we're looking at is a situation where people are getting outraged about you getting $250. Think about that. That's nuts. And so what I'm saying is that we have to understand that helping the little guy, helping people who are struggling in this world is not a bad thing. It is a good thing, and we ought to continue doing it in this country if we want to have a country that survives. Now, I'm not talking about some Pollyanna, let's all kumbaya and everybody be equal. I'm talking about even those who have higher levels of income having a country that they can drive through without being terrified. You understand what I'm saying? Because when you look at nations where the levels of inequality are high, what you have is the haves are afraid to be around the have-nots. Helping the have-nots actually helps everyone. And so I want us, I'm going to stop here because I think this is really, really, really important for us to think about. Oh, here's another. I'm sorry. No, I got to stop. I say this. Pfizer received $2.2 billion in federal tax refunds about a decade ago, right? When you look at these companies, it's not like what's going on is that they are not getting tax credits too. Everybody's getting tax credits. The issue is that they have lawyers to go and secure their tax credits, and most of us don't. So yes, you ought to take your child tax credit. Yes, you ought to take your student loan interest credit. Yes, you ought to take your property tax credit. Yes, you ought to take all of these things. And there actually is a number. I can't find that number. I know it is. So we spend about $213 billion every year on tax credits. $213 billion. This is a very common tool of government, and it's a common tool of government used by those who are more conservative, who don't necessarily want the government spending a lot of money. So that's what it is. So anyway, folks, I just want to share that with you. I'm going to be back here a little more consistently. Just as I've told you guys before, I kind of took some time off, just life stuff. But I cannot sit back and not engage in these conversations. I hope that you guys do it as well. Join me at Kennedy King College and the City Colleges. We're doing political science classes. I have a worship service I do on Sundays as well. We do community events. I just was in Altgeld Gardens last night on the far southeast side of the city, doing some work through the Far South Chicago Coalition. Doing some 1619 work, and please join us on that way as well. It's really, really important. Arizona audit is only the beginning. Yes, we're going to be talking about, okay, cool. All right. Here we go. We got somebody who says that Biden's illegitimate. Well, hey, that's wonderful. I actually won't even engage in that because I think it's silly, honestly. And, I just do. So it's not even really worth having the conversation. Anyway, thank you guys. Have a great night. And I do hope that you guys are engaged in the process so that we can make sure that this country works for everyone. And that really is what this is about, ladies and gentlemen. It's really what it's about. And so when we look at this issue, how do we really create a society that works for all folks? $750 for a family of three, $500 for people with 3 kids, $500 a month for people with 2 children. It helps. It's not going to break the bank in America, and it's not honestly going to be extremely life-changing, although it's a move in the right direction. I do hope that people, and unfortunately what happens as we understand economically that people with less income, with less income, people with less income tend to spend their money more, ladies and gentlemen, on goods that they don't invest the money, is what I'm trying to say. And so I think that it is, when you look at stimulus plans and that kind of thing, that money really goes back into the economy very quickly. And I think that's what is going on. So anyway, well, I guess I could. I'm going to end, but I'm going to respond to this person who wants to challenge me in the chat. I'm going to tell you that whether Biden is my guy or not, I am looking to make sure that this country works for everyone. And that's what I'm concerned about. I know that people like to pull up these things about the crime bill and segregation. Most of the people who are pulling these things up are not working towards equality. They're just trying to find holes in what Biden does. And so if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. I hope all of us who are concerned with these issues will work our best in the communities that need it the most. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I hope you guys do the same thing. Have a wonderful night, everyone. And take care. God bless you all.